Hello and welcome. And this is the recording of the Ocean Beach Networking Group. And today is Tuesday, February the 16th, 2021. And I'm very excited to have Jude Hotep speaking to the group today. But before we turn it over to Jude, we are going to give everyone an opportunity to introduce themselves. And we do that in the form of an icebreaker question. And I did put the icebreaker question in the chat of Zoom, which today's icebreaker is, when do you know you're in the magic? When do you know you're in the magic? And if you don't like the icebreaker question, you can always tell us your favorite restaurant or favorite dish, something like that. We don't want to force anyone to answer that if they don't feel comfortable answering it. So having said that, do I have any volunteers to go first?
I can go
Okay.
first.
There you go.
Thank you, Katie, please.
All right, my name is Katie Corbett. I am a customer case studies writer. For anyone who doesn't know, customer case studies are the success stories of how a client or customer has gotten results through a product or service. I know I'm in the magic when I'm writing something and I look up at the clock and it's been like 3 hours and it feels like it's only been, 20 minutes. So that's how I know I'm really into something good.
Awesome, great job. Now feel free to put your contact information into the chat, meaning your website, LinkedIn profile, email address, phone number, whatever you want, things like that. So if people want to connect with you after the fact, they're able to do that. Oh, and I see, looks like Nicole Brewers has logged in. Hi, Nicole. You snuck in there. So let me unmute you. And so I don't know if you heard the icebreaker, Nicole, but today's icebreaker is, when do you know you're in the magic? So I won't call on you yet. I'll give you a minute to think about it, and welcome. And let's see, who would like to go next? Any volunteers?
I'm open.
Please, Mel. Thank you.
So I'm going to start with the icebreaker. I'm Mel. I wanted to not put any thought to it because I know how it made me feel initially when I heard the question. So for me, the magic comes in so many different forms and in so many different areas of life. So, relationships, business, just energy. So I like to think that I'm always in the magic. And it starts when I wake up in the morning and I know that I'm like in a conscious state and feeling healthy and ready to go. So always in the magic. And I've spent this last COVID year reinventing myself. So I am currently a real estate investor. I help put distressed homeowners with wholesalers. So that's my current business line.
Awesome.
And always in the magic.
Great answers. All right. So yeah, feel free to put your information in the chat, Mel. Let's see. So I'm just going to start calling on people. So hopefully you're all ready. Dan, I'm going to call on you next.
Okay, that's really a good question. It brings up a lot of thoughts. I suppose that what I think about it, at least for right now, what's magic for me is I like to take pictures, and when you just really find something that really looks good, it's kind of a elevating feeling. And the other things I really enjoy is when I plant and doing stuff with them and finding. I like to put staghorn ferns on things, and I put them on skateboards now, and people really enjoy them, and it makes me really happy when I give one to someone.
Outstanding. Now, I don't know if you heard the plane flying overhead, but I muted just for a second. And Dan, tell us about your business too.
I practice real estate, residential and commercial, and my career has been doing large master plan communities around the country. And now that I come back here where I grew up, I'm doing essentially residential real estate. And I've volunteer for a lot of stuff too.
Awesome. And I see Thalia has logged in. Welcome, Thalia. So nice to see you. And I'm not going to call on you yet, but I'm going to give you a minute to think about the icebreaker question, which is, when do you know you're in the magic? When do you know you're in the magic? So Enball, would you like to go next?
I can go next. I'm Enbal Cohen. I'm an insurance broker. I do commercial lines, workers' compensation, and some personal lines, home and auto insurance. Just started about 6 months ago, so I'm pretty new to the industry. And when I feel the magic is I have gotten into a very good habit of not working on Saturdays for religion purposes. So Friday afternoon, I light Shabbat candles. And that's when I feel in the magic, is kind of connecting to myself. I'm done with my work week and it's time to relax. So that's when I feel the magic.
Awesome. Great job. And let's see, Allison, are you ready to go?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Allison Hunt, and my company is called Premier Solutions. I'm visiting here from Mission Valley, San Diego today. So at Premier Solutions, we help both businesses and individuals save money on their wireless and cable monthly bills. So we renegotiate directly with your service provider and make sure you keep the same level of service or get better service for the best possible price. So when I say wireless and cable, we're talking internet, cell phone, landline, security system, all for your home or office. So if you hate sitting on hold with your service providers and all around want to pay less for your monthly bills, I would love to connect and see how I can help. And for me, I know that I'm in the magic when I'm meeting with new customers and and networking at events all day long, right? And I absolutely love just to kind of get in the groove with somebody and we're getting to know each other. And, maybe we have a one-to-one to speak about our businesses, but it ends up really turning into a connection and a friendship. And then, we genuinely want to meet for coffee, want to meet for a drink later. It just, networking puts me in the magic. So I hope to get to know some of you a little bit better.
Great answer. And a quick commercial is Allison's going to be speaking at the next meeting, which is on Tuesday, March the 2nd at 11:45. So if you want to learn more about what they do, helping people save money on their internet and cell phone bills, definitely put that on your calendar. Save the date, March the 2nd. And Nicole, how are you? Are you ready to go?
Sure. Hello, my name is Rose. I am a certified nutritionist and herbalist. I help women over 30 have more energy, metabolism, and balance their hormones. And I do this through corporate wellness presentations, one-on-one coaching, and then some online programs. I actually have an awesome one coming up. I'm excited about that. And the icebreaker question, when do I feel in the magic? So I think on a personal and a professional level, it's a little different. On a personal level, I feel like when I can just feel really present, whether that's people or whether that's, I do some aerial art, where I can just be really present and get out of my head. I feel like then I'm kind of like in the magic and the flow of life. And then on a professional level, I feel like I'm in the magic when I just feel the energy, ideas are just kind of flowing through me, just like I can't stop it. I wake up and I'm like, okay, it is. So that's kind of when I feel and there's been a lot of that going on when I've been creating this course. So it's been good. I'm excited.
Awesome. Great job. Good to see you. And I think Thalia, you're up. Are you ready to go?
Sure thing. Hi, I'm Thalia Dreesen, and I'm a brand consultant, web designer, creative person. And my company is called Little Sparrow Design. And I work similar to Chuck. I work with WordPress sites, and recently I've been getting more into e-commerce solutions like Squarespace. And I also do video editing. So I'm kind of a Jill of all trades, you could say, creatively. And I'm here in Ocean Beach. I feel like I'm in the magic when uh, I've really visualized something, I've written it down, I've thought about it, um, and it starts materializing. So, a lot of things require kind of this planning and preparation, and it can sometimes feel like it takes a long time for that to sometimes materialize. But I feel in the magic when I actually start seeing some of the results of what I've been hoping for. And when the pieces start falling into place, that's such a great feeling. And that happens both in personal and professional, um, in both of those realms.
Excellent. Great job. Now, I think everyone has had a chance to share except for Jude and myself. If I skipped you, raise your hand. Did I skip anyone? Okay, good. Didn't want to do that. So I'll go ahead and share and then I'll turn it over to Jude. So yes, I also do WordPress like Thalia. I also provide search engine optimization services. And that's a magic thing that happens when you do SEO and you get a #1 ranking on Google. That's how I know I'm in the magic. Now that's on a professional level. On a personal level, it's being in the tube surfing. And it hasn't happened to me very many times, but every once in a while, you catch a really good wave and you're in the tube. Even if it's just a split second, it's a magic time that you relive over and over in your memory. And so I'm going to turn it over now to Jude. Thank you so much for speaking, Jude. Now, Jude, I did set an alarm on my phone for 12:55. So if it does go that long, I'm going to raise my hand and say you have 5 minutes to wrap it up. But don't feel like it has to go that long. Let's just see how it goes. But we do want to be respectful that other people, some people may have to leave right at 1. So thanks again for speaking and take it away.
Yeah, thank you for having me. And I really appreciate all of you for attending. And hopefully the screen share won't be clunky, but I tried a couple of things and this seemed like the best option to really do what I'd like to do. I'd really like this to be a discussion. So I'm going to ask some questions and go around, and then I will let you all know some things. First, I'll just tell you that I'm Jude Hotep. I'm the Conscious Money Coach. I created the Conscious Money Creation and the Conscious Money Creation podcast. And you can kind of tell from that name what it's all about. And Mel, you were talking about consciousness and being, and being awake and aware just throughout your days. And I heard, being in the flow, and I heard, just, connected to source. I heard when like there's a timelessness. I heard like when you're like really connected to what you're creating. And so I just heard so many beautiful things from everyone, like when you're in that present moment in the surfing. And so it's just so beautiful. And when we bring up money, it's also about sex and self-worth and your value and your safety and respect, self-respect, judgments. It's about relationships. So everything kind of comes up when we talk about money. It's kind of everything, and everything's money metaphorically, kind of this mirror back and forth. And so when I bring up wealthy, I want you all just to kind of picture in your mind what you see, the images and the pictures. When I bring up the word wealthy, what comes up for you in your mind? And is that is it an aversion, or is it getting you closer to money? Or is it kind of getting you further away because it's something like, it's like, well, I don't want to be that, or it looks this way, or this is what it would take to get there, this try hard. So any of that, I just want you to kind of be aware of that in your mind and think about what that is for you. And then, what comes up in your mind in pictures and images when I say, money's fun or money's easy? What comes up? What's the feeling? Just kind of take note of that feeling in your body and just take note of that for a minute. Who is here is not into manifestation? Just curious. Okay, so everybody is. Okay, because I was going to say, if you aren't, this will probably be still really intriguing to you. So just kind of hang out. But I think that this is going to get interesting. So I'm going to screen share right now with you, and we're going to kind of do something together. Share. Okay, good. All right. So this is all going to make sense here soon, but this is a manifestation cycle. This is a creation cycle. Put them side by side so you can kind of see. And this right here is circumstances. It's everything you can't control. It is facts, and the same on this side. And so I just want to go around and everybody give me some of the names, some of the words that you use with manifestation. So what are some of the words? I heard visualization already, so I'm going to put that here, and that's actually going to go in a few spots here. But everybody just go around and give me some of the words you think of when you think manifestation.
Attraction.
Okay, perfect. Go ahead, keep going.
Positivity.
Great. Anybody else?
Trust.
Okay. What else?
Collaboration.
Do you mean that with spirit, or do you mean that with other people, or?
Either one.
Okay. Great. What else, guys? I'll put something in here. What about frequency? And what the hell does that mean? Anybody know? What else? Anybody got? What about beingness? Being. Have you heard that one? What about vision boards? Keep throwing things out if you want. Anybody just keep throwing things out. Vision boards, prayer. What else have you guys heard?
Connection.
Connection, great. What about like embody? You heard that one a lot, or feel it, or be in the energy of it.
Mhm.
Everybody's heard that stuff. What about
Yeah.
like appreciation, gratitude? I know you all have heard this stuff, right?
Act as if.
Yes, exactly. Perfect. Thank you. What else, guys? What about intention? Everybody's heard this, right? Like set your intention, right? And what does that mean? State your desire, right? Be crystal clear.
Affirmations.
Yes, perfect. Affirmations, perfect. And then we got visualization, materializing. I really like, somebody said materializing earlier, when things materialize out. Let's see, anybody got anything else? And I think that's probably what I have here. Anything I'm missing?
Maybe focus.
Focus, excellent. I'll put that here. Okay, so notice how like this is all beautiful, and I think these words make us feel dreamy and in love and connected, and make us feel like connected to the magic. At the same time, it's kind of like, what the attraction? Is that a being? Is that a doing? What am I supposed to do something? I'm wrong if I'm not. What's happening here? You know, when do I know I'm doing it? And then, you know, like frequency, you know, what exactly does that mean? One coach out there says that it's energy in motion. And I love that because it actually kind of makes it more clear, your energy. But then what the hell is energy? Well, what if everything over here and energy is just an emotion? So everything right here, this F line means feeling. So feeling, emotion. And so everything over here, you know, visualization, I put it in the F line in all lines because visualization is more one of those manifestations. If manifestation is not nebulous to you, then it's like, okay, you have a clear what you want, then you put the emotion with it, and then you take actions that you're given, you know, insights on, and then it materializes. But part of that materialization is partly you and partly the co-creation with spirit, right? With the magic, with the energy, with God, source, whatever you call it, right? And so it's like we all want this so much because we want to be in the magic on a daily, all day basis. It's like so amazing to see it come out, but how can we feel good the rest of the time? And then what if all of this right here, the visualization, intention, state your desire, know exactly what you want, affirmations, right? We always want to do affirmations, but that gets interesting because if you don't believe it, is it really helping you? And so what if all of that is just your thoughts? And then what if everything here is just your actions? And all actions are actions or inactions, but it's also, to make it more clear even, it's your behavior. It's the energy you show up with. So you might have an emotion here of amused, but then now you show up with kind of a fun vibe, right? So, and then also let's put like vibe over here, like your vibe, your energy, your feeling, you know? And then here, this is creation, but also it is the result, the outcome. And the thing is that you could say A, you know, equals B equals C, but we all know that we've done everything by the book, or we've done everything happy. We've done everything and it just had its own way it went. Oftentimes the manifestation aspect, the magic part of it is that like when we can put all the pieces together, it will unfold better than we could imagine. And that's the ultimate, right? But it unfolds and we get the result we want or something even better that we couldn't have imagined. But a lot of times we're looking for us to force that result, and it's so try hard and it doesn't feel good and we don't really feel good up to the result. And then it's like, you know, and that result, this materialization part of it, that's part of spirit's job on that. So I just want to go around real quick and like, what comes up for you with this? Any quick, like a sentence from everybody, what's coming up? Katie? It's okay if nothing's coming up, but I just curious. Feeling, a thought?
I think like consistency is really important. So like to keep showing up, I guess, is the thought that I keep having.
Oh, beautiful. Okay. And then Thalia, what were you saying?
So I've often heard, you know, this term, turn it over, you know, like if you can't do it, if you don't feel like you're capable of it, turn it over to a higher source and ask for help. And so I feel a little bit like this is like, what is my state as I'm doing something like that?
Yeah. Okay, great. Anybody else?
To build on that, I think like the term surrender.
Yeah.
I agree with like the consistency and just the consistency throughout all of those things. Cause I feel like oftentimes you're doing one or not the other and you don't even realize it, you know, when you're like, oh, I feel this way, I'm doing the affirmations, but then you have these like deep seated thoughts that are like not in alignment with the rest of it. So
Yeah.
alignment, maybe, you know, alignment through all of those.
And alignment is such a great one. I'm going to put that under the feeling line, because what does that mean too, right? And integrity. Like alignment really means like, are we in align with our heart? Because it's usually the outside voices that we're trying to align to, and we don't even know it. There's a tangle inside often. We have to try to pull the threads to get those to unravel. And sometimes we can see it very clearly, but it's often when there's a try hard, who's the voice? Who's the you know, who's got the reins? Who's kind of the why we're doing it? What's the motive behind there? Is it from our heart, from a spirit, you know, guided approach? I love this. So the surrender aspect, it's like, well, with the surrender, it's almost two things. One, kind of knowing that it unfolds out of the ethers, how it's going to be, and all of our efforts towards it can make it be better than we imagined or what we want, right? And at least we do our part, and then spirit, universe, source, creator, whatever does the rest of it, right? But the other part is that sometimes we don't we're in emotional tangles. And so it's like, okay, well, we're humans. We have the human spectrum. It's okay to have emotions and feelings. So then we want to be able to do something with them and process them and allow them. And so that's, you know, a lot of the work we do in coaching. You know, it's like, what are our techniques? And one of the things I'll just give you to leave with is move it through your body. You can process it through your body, and allow it, but you don't want to resist, makes it bigger. And you want to disconnect the thoughts, because the thinkingness is the brain's trying to figure it out, but it doesn't know. And it builds the pressure underneath the emotion and makes it greater. So go for a walk, exercise, journal, whatever's nourishing and yummy. That time and investment in you will help work those emotions out. So those are some of the ways to really come at it from a great way and not let it take you over and be kind of under this miasma, this cloud, this ghost of the emotion itself, but rather being like, okay, this came up, let me move it through. What are some of my techniques? So then I just want to go down here and say, so we'll do some creation cycles, and say you want to make $7,000 in your business this month, just for talking purposes. And I just put here as something, you know, as an example, talk to X number of clients, enroll X number of clients into programs, have X number of conversations that turn into results. So this is just some of the examples for everyone's business that's on here today. It'll be something different of what you have to do. But let's just say, and this is B for behavior or action. I'll put the A so that makes more sense. Action, behavior. And so what here, say to get $7,000, you need 2 clients signed. Let's just say, and then say to do 2 clients signed, you have to have great conversations, or let's just say you have to have 10 consultations, right? And then to have 10 consultations, let's just say you have to have 50 great conversations, or like, you know, deeper conversations, right? And then let's say to have those 50 convos, you got to have 100 reach outs. So we just break it down real concrete, and that's our part. And we just show up to spirit and say, well, this is what I know I can do. And I'll keep being innovative and interesting. And maybe I'll go to networking meetings, and maybe I'll just talk to people at a screening for a pilot TV show like Chuck and I did, or whatever it is, you know, that you're just talking to somebody in line at Target, and you always are kind of being your beautiful self and being what you do in this life. And then it's like, how do you feel when you do it? So let's just say these are the same exact things over, you know, I just put 2 examples, but for talking, so it's very clear, I'm just going to make this exactly the same, so it's super clear. And when we do these things, so these are the same exact actions. But here, let's say we're stressed, worried, fear, doubt. Anybody else have just basic emotions that come up? Who has things
Overwhelmed.
come up? What did you say?
Overwhelmed.
Overwhelmed, great. What else? Anything else that is like one of those where it's kind of like,
Imposter syndrome, if that's a feeling. Imposter.
Okay. So like, you almost feel like
Distracted.
fraud or something, right? And then like the frenzied, right? The busy badge, right? Always running around. The kind of harried energy, right? What else? Anybody else?
Easily distracted.
Yes. The like just kind of like anxious, distracted. Anybody else? Okay, so then you can tell these are exactly the same. And then let's just say the thought driving these are like, you know, I don't, you know, so thoughts generate our emotions, and the brain is always doing something. So it's always up there yakking away at us. It knows about the past. It knows about what people say and do. It knows about world events. It knows about everything you've done before. It's not the creation place. It doesn't create. It just knows everything that's been, and it has Shakespearean sagas going on. It has dramas going on. There's the facts, the sea line up here, you know, can't control it, can't influence, sky's blue. Woman said, quote, word, quote. But then you might think a thought, woman said, you know, these words, which is in the circumstance line, and then you might think, oh, she's rude. Well, now you feel offended, then you have the behaviors of maybe disconnecting from that relationship and walking away. Or you might think, oh, she's hysterical, then you feel amused because our thoughts generate our emotions, and then you take the actions of, and our emotions drive our actions. So then you take the actions of, you know, calling your friend over, hey, did you hear what she said? And like, you know, laughing and being in this jovial place, right? And so it's just such a completely different thing, but the same circumstance happened. So it was just the same thing, you know, car ran through stoplight, but two different thoughts generating two different feelings, two different actions. So the thoughts over here are probably like stress, worried, fear, doubt that caused that, are probably like, you know, I'm afraid it won't work out. Things like, I don't have enough time. Anybody else have thoughts that come up pretty commonly that cause these types of feelings? I gotta get it done.
Maybe competition, like there's too much competition.
Ah, yeah.
Sometimes if I'm having a situation that's outside of my business, like a personal situation, it can be, I can't stay focused.
And what feeling would that be? Unfocused? So it would be kind of maybe overwhelmed or distracted?
Distracted, yeah.
So what thought creates that feeling of distraction?
Maybe like the thought I almost often think is, you know, that there's too much else going on.
Too much going on. Okay,
Mhm.
perfect. So that thought, there's too much going on, creates the feeling distracted. Now, typically we would just do one thought, one feeling, you know, all of the actions, all of the inactions. So you do all of those, and then one creation, right? One result, one outcome. But in this one, I want to show you everything that kind of happens, right? And so this one thought, there's too much going on, makes her feel distracted. So it generates that emotion, but only because she has the thought. The thought's not truth. You know, the thought's not truth. But it's like, can we pull away from that? Can we set that aside? And then we see how that thought creates these actions, but the actions, some people do create all of these actions with the stress, fear, overwhelm, doubt, frenzied, but most people are going to be overeating. She said she's, you know, procrastinates on work, or just, you know, feels like can't do as much work, you know, unfocused in work. So it's kind of not productive. It's kind of spinning, right? Spinning in your thinking, overthinking. And it's just not helpful. You're not getting to a solution. The brain's like, I got all these things to be fearful about. I'm going to keep giving them to you. How you feeling? You know, like, it's like, are you scared? Like, it's like a horror show. It's like, I didn't go to the movie and go see a horror, you know, but it's up there just tickering away. And so, you know, this is typically what we do. We like we start being less productive in our lives. We go into overthinking, spinning, overeating, social media, you know, and none of it's right, wrong, good or bad. We're just trying to cope. We're trying to find some way to deal with it all, right? But what if and some people are lucky, they still do these actions and but they do it. And so they make the $7,000. Let's just say you're one of the people that can still make those actions happen when you're stressed, worried, fear, and overwhelmed. But then you make $7,000 while feeling and living your life in stress, fear, doubt, and overwhelm. So, you know, how good of your days and your weeks, the tone and the vibration and the like, you know, the days of your weeks, you know, how does every day feel? Are you enjoying life? Are you in the magic of it all? Or you could feel joy and drive everything from joy and you could think a simple thought that drives joy, like, I'm so happy, This is fun. I love working, you know, with my clients. You know, things always work out better than I can imagine. And so sometimes when we make it this simple and then it's like, oh my gosh, the responsibility comes back up. I heard things like turn it over and surrender. And I heard things like consistency and show up. And so I think it gets really interesting. I'm going to leave this up for just a couple more minutes, but I can take it down. But I think it gets really interesting where it's like these two ping pongings. It's like spirit and the magic, but then like we got to show up and take action and try hard. And where is the receiving from the divine, our divine inner intuition, our divine feminine fire? For the men, you know, that energy of that electric energy where you just kind of know, and you know what to do, and you know what to, and it's just very flowing, and it's just very kind of just an instinct. You know, where is that able to receive, nourish yourself, and then kind of create and take that energy and then create? And how can we feel joy? And truly, honestly, it's the thoughts that generate it. But in coaching, we go deeper and like, why are these thoughts not so easy to think? And we can get underneath that all. But I want to break it down to see just how easy it can be to start showing yourself these thought, feeling, act cycles of conscious creation. Start showing yourself what the brain's up there doing. This thought, oh, no wonder I feel like shit right now. So you can plug the emotion into the F line, you know, feeling overwhelmed, feeling stressed, whatever it is. Find out what thought that is and to start showing yourself and to start getting your control back a little bit. And this will help a lot. And with manifestation, you know, it's so beautiful, all those words, and I love all of that. But unless we really concretely have a way to do all of that, I think that it can almost cause a lot of superstition and paranoia, like, well, I'm not doing it right. Well, I had the thought, I got to pull that thought back in. So it's like, just because you had those thoughts, it's not a big deal. It's not creating the creation. But it's like, if we have those thoughts and feelings and actions over and over and over, then that's when we are creating creations that we don't want, or creating results in our life that we don't want. But when we can start kind of seeing those thoughts and start pulling that off the cliff and saying, you know, what do I want to believe about myself and my value and my worth? You know, what do I want to believe about work? Like, if everything is a cycle, the moon and its cycles throughout a month, the, you know, the sunset and the sunrise, the earth, you know, spinning in its axis, the galaxy, the solar system. If everything is cycles, the planting cycles, the 4 seasons, we have the fertile fallow, but it's fertile, you know, there's an important nutrient taking in during that time, but everything looks dead on top. But it's, you know, you're gathering your nutrients. You know, when the fishermen can't go out to sea, they repair the nets. You know, and so there's the emergence and summer and blooming, and fall is harvest, and then winter's a fertile fallow, and then spring. So we have all these cycles. So why not would we be able to create $1 million or 100K or 50K or whatever we're looking for in our business with that beautiful natural flow and ease and the lack of that try hard and joy? And it's all okay. And it's okay, you know, if I take this time to nourish myself, to do a little journaling, or to take that bath, or to go on the walk and deal with these emotions that are coming up, because they're creating a cycle that's not very helpful in this moment and not making me productive anyways. Why don't I go take some nourishing moments for myself and then get back to work in a little bit better headspace? You know, like how, and I just want to kind of turn it over. What's coming up for all of you right now? I just want to hear if anybody wants to kind of join in the conversation or has any questions. I'd love to hear from.
Yeah, so this is actually really helping me a lot, because I'm kind of going through a situation and trying to understand this more actually with my partner. We are discussing making a really big move together. And she deals with a lot of chronic health issues, and a lot of the self-doubt, and a lot of the, you know, 1 minute, like she's kind of operating from a place of excitement and love, and we're ready to, you know, take these next steps. And then the next day it's like, I can't do this. My body's not ready. I can't handle it. I don't feel good. And it's more operating from a place of fear and scared. And I live more in the vein of just love and excitement. And I think I do manifest without even really understanding it or, knowing too much about it. I think everything continues to just, I follow the path that I think will make me the most happy. And that's typically, and every day, every passing year, I wake up and I find myself in a place in life where I'm just exactly where I want to be. And it's hard for me sometimes to grasp someone having so much self-doubt and not understanding, and not feeling ready to just take the next step and being sure about what's going to make them happy. And so this has given me a lot of, I think, more tools and understanding on, how her brain is working, if that makes sense. So
Yeah, definitely. And maybe, there could be some time just for you two, where your candles and scents and a meal and just some sort of nourishment for you guys, where you kind of do a ritual and it's just like, how can we take down the challenging things, and maybe share this work with her and say, can we look at this together and just know I'm supporting you and there for you to, and just sometimes that witness and that compassion help somebody know that. And it's the primitive brain, it wants to stay safe and stay in the cave and new things. And then there's all this background things that are going on, beliefs, that are inherited from familial and societal clocks and the old conditioning and, the old ways of you shoulds and ought tos and have tos. And, it's always like color inside the lines. Don't fail school, don't fail the semester, these things get in there.
yeah, that's true.
Now, just to build on what Allison's saying, I think that to be able to stay positive is a blessing. And, there's this concept of a self-fulfilling prophecy. And, I feel very blessed to be able to follow things that make me happy. And I've been around other people. It's not the case. It doesn't matter what falls into their lap, they're going to find some negativity associated with it. So you kind of make your own reality in terms of your attitude. And for me too, I try to cut people out of my life that have this negativity. I'm not trying to change them, but I'm very easily influenced by that sort of negativity. I can't be around it. So I try to surround myself with positive people to kind of keep it going, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, definitely. And I think what's interesting about this human, life, on the one hand, I just have so much compassion for people that are going through things, because what I've been through in my life, and just, it's, I don't think anybody just wants to be negative or wants to not do work or wants to not, do something beautiful with their life or have a beautiful life, but it's all the things behind the scenes that we can't see, and all the shadow work and all of the traumas and dramas. And it's just people are unable to get up to levels of consciousness that will help them get out of that. And so again, it makes perfect sense. You're like, well, I'm gonna at least go keep my energy where I can keep sustaining myself. And that makes so much sense. And I love what Allison said, of like, huge, about I follow what makes me happy. I just follow what makes me happy. I'd love for you to add, when you're doing your work and your day-to-day works and the paperwork and some of the elements of work, like, how do you keep that happiness going and make those things happen? If you wouldn't mind sharing with us.
Yeah. Well, I think it's, yeah, that with the workday, I mean, that's a tough one. I mean, some of the paperwork and like the administrative stuff, I don't know that anyone likes doing that, but I try to keep in mind the parts about my job that I really look forward to. Like, I feel very, very blessed and lucky that I'm in a position where most of the point of my job and my day is built around making connections with people. That I know is what fuels my soul, and that's what I think keeps me going. Is like I am very much fueled by others. I'm kind of an extroverted introvert, I guess. You know, I definitely like my own time to refuel at points, but I really genuinely love getting to know new people, and that is. I kind of found a role that that allows me to do that, and I'm learning so much just from meeting all kinds of different individuals that I think from a workday standpoint, that's what keeps me going.
I think it's really important to hear that from each other, you know, and from the community to keep us all going and to hear these ways that we keep moving our business forward. I have some groups in Facebook, and I'm building one in LinkedIn too. But so if you're interested in that, you can please get in touch with me via LinkedIn, LifeCoachJude.com, LifeCoachJude on Insta, and Facebook as well. I have a new group on Facebook that'll be kind of getting more interesting and more yummy, but it's Wild Soul Journey. But anybody else, Thalia or Mel or Nicole or Inbal or Dan or Katie, anybody that wants to tell us about kind of how this, what came up for you during this?
I'll share a little bit. My issue with myself is that I'm such a perfectionist that it's really the downfall of how I handle myself. When I feel like I'm not doing a good job, or I set myself a standard that I can't reach, it literally drives me crazy. And I spiral down really fast, just like how you showed on the chart, where these are my thoughts and this is my feeling. And then it just goes like, I'm out for the day.
Yeah.
And what really helps me is taking the time to like work out, which is something that I really enjoy, and kind of, but it's always a constant battle of like me feeling better with myself. It's like one day I'm this and one day I'm that. And it's really, really hard, but that's what keeps me consistent with like working out, which is something that I enjoy, is like keep going back. And a lot of people always ask me like, how do you find a time to work out 5 days a week? But I just now realized, because that's just my priority. That's what I need to do in order to not go back to that same loop of, I'm just going to feel bad about myself 24 hours a day and just go to sleep and wake up and it's going to be the same the next day. Like finding that time to relax and enjoy myself is really the best way for me to disconnect and start fresh, pretty much.
Yeah. Like it's so many things you said are so powerful, because on the one hand, you know, just finding the nourishment for you, and it sounds like working out helps you keep the emotions, which, you know, in check, and keeps you from like being in the emotion, and it allows you to process it. So if you see, you're actually processing emotion. So you are actually doing the technique of processing emotion. And all growing up, most of us never really got techniques of how do you deal with emotions. You have them because we don't realize that clear is an emotion, intentional, fun, in the possibility, magical, focused, determined. Like all of these are emotions. We tend to think like mad, sad, happy, glad, fearful, but like there's so many more emotions: determined and motivated and spunky and fired up. And you could have so much fun with it. Like, well, what thought would drive this emotion? And so you said some powerful things of like, no, this is actually the way I process emotion is I do exercise. And maybe you need, a few more things in your Rolodex of how you of other things when emotions come up. And it's like we're these animals, with these creatures, with these humans, with these facets of emotions. We have this rich emotional life. So it's not like you want to go to their funeral and be laughing. You want to feel grief, you want to choose it. You don't necessarily, but you want to process it through, because grief will come through for about 20 minutes and then it'll let go of you, and then it'll come back in a wave later. But if you process it, it'll be a wave that comes through and you allow it and it washes through. It's not like this cloud that you then live in all day. And it's not like nothing went wrong when that happens. It's just like, what are our ways to deal with our emotions that we have as humans? And so the other thing you said about procrastination perfectionism is like really, I think so many people deal with this. Like, you got to color inside the lines. You can't be wrong. And what does it mean what if you are wrong? What if it's not perfect? And whose idea, like who determines when it's perfect? And whose voice is that? And it's just like, if I get it, and sometimes it's really beautiful to start to do this work and uncover what's behind there, because a lot of times there's a lack of safety. It takes a while to get in there, but it's like, oh, like if I'm not perfect, I won't be safe ultimately. And it's like, how do you perform out in the world and emerge and be like, when you don't feel safe? And it's okay to just be raw and naked in the universe sometimes, because we are, but it's between you and spirit internally, instead of it being more of this thing where it's almost like it shuts you down and constricts. We always want to open up and expand into the emotions that come, because they grow us, they evolve us. It's like, how do we do that, right?
Yeah. I was just realizing that, like, for me, so I've been letting I'll explain this after I'm done, like, saying it. I've been letting a reality that isn't my immediate reality affect my emotions, I think. Like, and I think part of that has to do with the fact that, like, every morning my husband always checks the temperature outside and tells me what it is. And, like, okay, yes, like, it is below 0 here in Wisconsin, but in my house right now it's 70 degrees. And, like, I want to get out of this cycle of, like, commenting on the weather when it doesn't even really have an impact on me. Like, it's not like I can't do business when it's freezing out, So there's probably a lot of pieces to it, but I just noticed, like, in the past couple calls, I brought it up, and I'm like, why? Like, why do I even need to talk about this right now? Because I'm not sitting outside in below 0 degree weather.
And this might seem, and this is interesting because it might seem like, like it's a little bit of a weird thing, but behind it is something going on. And what it is like him telling you the temperature is his behaviors, actions. We can't control other people, right?
Right.
We often have manuals for other people, our handbooks for how they should be, think, and do, and they have them for us, right? How we should be and think and do. And but it's like, that's the circumstance, neutral, or it's a fact that he does this. So then what is the thought that comes in, and how does that make you feel? And and go from there. But that's kind of one way, but I bet there's something behind that we could dig into in coaching. But it's like, this is an interesting one because it's showing up in this little pocket, but there's something behind there that if you pull the thread on that, you could maybe just kind of unravel like a little pocket of a shadow or a wound that just needs some healing. A lot of times we don't want to realize that, like, we all have these wounds and we all have these, these conditionings and these things, and it's not, nobody's right, wrong, good or bad. It's just that, are you willing to face it and heal it and go into it and let it be? And sometimes it's just about finding the thread that can pull it and unravel it so it can heal. And sometimes that's not always the easiest thing to find, that thread. But that's, that's what amazing coaching can help with. Dahlia, were you going to say something earlier?
Yeah, Jude, I was really resonating with the idea of the seasonal and cycles. You can't grow anything on a fallow field. And I tend to be a little bit of a perfectionist. So sometimes I have an idea and I'm like, okay, it should take this amount of time. But it doesn't happen sometimes in that amount of time. Sometimes I have to be patient. Sometimes it'll happen sooner. Like, it's just, it will reveal itself when the time is right. And so I've got an airplane going over, but
OB pause.
OB pause. But I really like that idea of paying attention to the cycles. And for me personally, just thinking about, I feel I've had 2 careers in my life, 2 substantial careers in my life. And after about 14 or 15 years, I feel like a cycle is complete. And I'm kind of like, my soul wants something else. And And then just in the day to day, you know, I love the idea of if you prioritize something that nourishes you, like exercise, that becomes part of your mini cycle that helps the larger cycle of what you want to do. So thank you. I thought that was great.
Yeah, you're welcome. I appreciate your words too. And that is beautiful, like a mini cycle within a cycle. I think that's an awesome visual. And like the nourishment, yeah, like maybe it's journaling. For me right now, it's like some journaling that's helpful, not just, and then it's reading like a really good book that's like really satisfying my soul, and like sitting in the sunshine if we have it here in Wisconsin. So that's kind of like what I'm doing, but I have to exercise too, but that's kind of another, but I love what you're bringing in of like that mini cycle. And then I love how you actually are so aware of what your soul, what your heart wants. I don't know if you're seeing that as much as it's evident to probably all of us, but it's like you're very in touch with the soul, not the external voices or the shoulds or oughts or have tos, but like what your heart wants. And so I think that's so powerful. And everyone that had kind of like that perfectionism or these other emotions, you're also aware. And it's so beautiful to see that awareness, because that will help you then dig underneath to get that deeper heart awareness of like, what does my heart want? What makes me happy? How can I be in that joy with my work? And maybe it is a pivot. Maybe it's the end of a cycle and it's time for a new.
So unfortunately, it is 12:55, and I want to thank Jude for the presentation today. Now, I wrote down LifeCoachJude.com. Did I get your website right, Jude?
Yep. And then I'm on LinkedIn and Instagram, and also I do free coaching sessions. So if you just want to experience the depth and power of a session and get some nourishment and some investment in you, and just have someone be there for you in that moment, you know, you just show up and you get to be who you be. I offer that. So I'd love to connect with you.
Fantastic. Well, I'm going to end the recording now.